Well, it's called Life, Love and Other Stuff, and it's a simple idea, but kind of a real classy, cool one. It takes the issue of relationships and kind of the whole war of the sexes and stuff, but gives it a nice little twist.
3 females, 2 males sitting around a table having a chat with a few glasses of wine about subject matters that are relevant to relationships or life in general.
It's about the art of conversation.
It's the kind of conversations that actually people have after a meal at home or in the restaurant.
People watching are going to be like, that's rubbish, I don't agree with that, what are you talking about? Or else, God, I totally agree with her, or she annoys me, or he's a bit of a ride, or, and you sort of grow to know the characters a little bit and like them or dislike them in whatever way, shape or form, but yet you're interested in what they have to say.
Joe came out with things that surprised me about his personality. I think when you get that involved in a conversation, and I think what's good about this show is that camera interference stuff's very minimalistic. You surprise yourself in the way you think.
I've been surprised by what, for example, will turn you off in a person, and one person said bad grammar, or bad spelling, things like that. And to be honest, I thought he was right.
I'm probably a lot more radical than I thought I was. I thought I was normal. But then you get into a room full of people and they look at you when you give your opinion. It's like, really? That's how you think?
I'd never met Fran before, and she's a very forthright, wild lady and cool lady, and yeah, she surprised me, but everybody surprises me.
I would say I'm all surprised by what people say, particularly Robbie. I think he comes out with things from a totally different angle, and I know him for quite a few years, but I've never seen this side of him.
Whether we're married, whether we're single, whether we're looking for love, whether we found it, I think they're topics that mean things to certain people, and there'll be some topics that some people will get really involved with and interested in. And I love the fact it's men and women, so coming together are the different opinions and views. You're not just listening to a load of women around a table sort of gabbling over a glass of wine with their sort of womany views.
I'm fascinated in how people in romantic relationships can spend 5 years with they're daily in each other's company and reveling in each other's company, and then they break up and will cross the road to avoid each other forevermore, and that fascinates me.
Yeah, it can get a bit tasty. It can go close to the edge, and I mean can be quite revealing. To be on the show is a bit of a risk, because you do reveal things about your your personal life.
You imagine when people are watching this at home that they won't become passive. They're not going to be passive members of the audience. It will spark conversation with people at home.
This started life on an expat TV channel in Spain called Viva TV. Here's a short clip from an episode shot overlooking the harbour in Denia.
Do you look, when you're fantasising, as a romantic fantasy, or like us guys do, as an erotic fantasy?
Erotic. Oh, sorry.
Come on, the number one fantasy that occurs at the moment for women is having 2 men.
Yes.
And for guys, it's probably the same, or someone you know and having sex with them in your mind, but you'll never be able to in reality. So therefore, that is our power trip. That is our way of saying, I've had sex with that woman in my mind, and I know what she can do and how she does it and what happened to her.
Isn't Jay's like that all the time? He has them every minute in his mind.
I just like the way you flicked to look at Jodie then when you were in the middle of that monologue. You went like that. I like that.
He knows he's never, ever.
Well, no, because you're untouchable.
Yeah, but what about my fantasies?
You can have fantasies.
So if I could have fantasies with you, it wouldn't bother you?
No.
Would it
Well,
bother
she'll
you?
never know about it,
Bother
would
me
she?
what?
If I had a fantasy about you.
I know you have.
Okay.
What makes this different is it's independently made, it's small, yet it's kind of been carried out by a lot of very experienced professional people who've decided this is what they'd like to make.
I think it's a really great programme. If you start watching it, you can't stop. It's addictive. it's something that needs to be done without too much interference.
What I like about independent stuff, regardless whether it's independent movies at Sundance or independent TV shows, that people are shown get up and go. They're, you know, as they'd say in Top Gun, they've been mavericks. They're deciding that, you know, instead of waiting for an opportunity to come to them, or that they're never getting any luck to do anything, that they're going to make their own luck. They're going to, you know, based on their own work ethic, they're going to try and make a show happen and make something happen for themselves. And for all kinds of performers, producers, telly, film, any medium, radio, anything, that's pretty cool.
Moving to Ireland, a pilot was shot in a country house in Selbridge, and although this wasn't for broadcast, it gives a good flavour of the chemistry.
In most long-term relationships, like lifetime marriages type, one or both persons have short affairs. And they can improve the relationship.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they come back and they move.
with a bit of just to
Come back.
realise.
Where have you been? This is different.
Where did you learn that?
Yeah. I don't
Get up here.
know. I can't breathe. What is going on?
Just put the snorkel on.
I feel inadequate, therefore I'm going to get a real set. And people are going to look just because they can't miss them.
Even though you might see a pair of boobs that look obviously fake, you could still like them.
Yeah.
You say,
But
they're
don't you take
fake,
good out of
but
it?
I like them.
It's not like a penis extension. That's serious. That's really, really
Too
serious
risky.
operation.
With a bit of skill,
You
you
can
can
do
do
a
a
lot
lot
with a
with an
penis.
average penis. Whereas if you just get it extended, but you still don't know what to do with it.
But I gather that body heat doesn't transfer through these, whatever they pack their breasts with. So you get these stone cold breasts to hang on to.
Wow.
And I mean, that
Coated.
would be
Weird.
very...
Escape from coated.
So that'd be very unfortunate. You think, I want to snuggle up there to the warmth, and then you go, they're like rocks and they're freezing.
Yeah.
So,
Poor line of vision. Men's line of
okay,
vision.
but listen, come on. Unless you're really close up, chances are, the person's there. But
What I don't understand is, if you study medicine and you could save lives, you know, and you decide, nah, I'll just make boobs.
I'm a believer in serial monogamy. When you're with somebody, you think you're going to be with them forever. And isn't that enough? And then when the relationship ends, don't see it as a failure. Just see it as the end of something. And then move on to something else.
Relationship is not a tattoo.
Main objective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not a tattoo.
everyone weighs something up. It's like
Yeah.
it's personality versus looks or something. You know, people go, that sort of idea that you met someone. Well, what are they like? Not too hot. She's got loads of dough, and I've got serious bills.
Yeah.
And I go,
Well, yeah.
right.
I love you.
Yeah,
I know a couple
yeah.
of people in that position.
In that
yeah.
light, as we
Yeah.
tone the light down, she just gets more beautiful.
The show was invited to the Minefield area of Electric Picnic in 2012, and it was the first time it was performed in front of a live audience.
If you had to pick one thing, right? If you had to pick one ingredient that you think would make a relationship what it would be.
Yeah,
Now you have to pick the first thing comes into your head.
Obedience.
What?
Empathy.
And where do you think sex comes in that then?
One ingredient
Well,
for me. One
yeah.
ingredient would
Yeah.
be olive oil. That's definitely one ingredient.
Yeah.
Would
Are we quantifying a relationship because it lasts?
Well,
Or are we quantifying the relationship because it was fun for when it was fun?
How long should a relationship last anyway? Should a relationship be for life? Do a lot of more women want to, or young girls want to become Jordan?
I think she's a hero. I
Hedy
think
Lamarr?
Jordan,
Do you? Yeah.
Jordan is the only person left with a bit of moral integrity.
Come on now.
The person you're married to, you're just having loads of sex. But then there's this other person that you
Yeah.
have a better...
Yeah, you have a kind of a freedom with, a kind of a reaction.
because you don't know each other.
But
So
then
you
you're
haven't
not-
learned to hate each
I
other
think,
yet.
I really feel
can
we're
have a
missing
friend.
something
That's
here.
what marriage-
It depends on the relationship.
Sober
and
or
I think,
unsober one night stand?
I don't
Why
know.
should
I
that
mean,
make
I
a
think that
difference, though?
matters though. I think that
Why?
matters because people because people.
I was
when you're
drunk.
Come on,
explaining.
I'm
I didn't know what I was
It's
doing.
much easier if you start
Joe,
off
it
with,
does-
look, I was
Joe,
shit-faced.
You're always shit-faced.
It always makes it go easier.
What's that program? How to look 10 years younger or something? They do it for you. They fix your teeth and they do a facelift and whole. I saw it. I watched it one day. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
It's fucking
Did you ever see the
brilliant.
bridesmaids? Or the brides?
we recorded it, did you?
I'm like, there's hope. I can meet a woman with personality and the rest.
They're just putting it out there to see if you people, members of the community, the public, decide this is the type of show they would want to be involved in, and put their money where their mouth is. You know, invest a few bob, give these people the opportunity to produce what they think is going to be a crackling show, and you know, you get behind it. You be a producer in your own right by throwing them a couple of quid and get to say that, you know, you helped bring that show to fruition.
And it's something that needs to be made independently, and we'd like to make it independently, and I'd like you to give us some money to help us do that. And if you do that, we'll ask a question on your behalf or discuss a subject on your behalf for the money.
If you were to give these lovely people who are making this fantastic show money, you'll get exactly, if you look right here, this is what your book gets you. Marvellous.
We weren't going to show you this, but here are some of the rehearsals just before a gig with the current lineup. I always wonder, when do they come to that step? Because I know that everyone that's in a relationship probably at some stage wonders, imagine what it would be like to be in an open relationship. When do they actually go, okay, is it from tomorrow we're going to have an open relationship? Do you know what I mean?
You know, what's that? You know, when they swap couples?
Wife
swapping and all that business.
Swinging.
Or
It's swinging.
swingers.
Swingers. And I know couples which I
people do
support.
that?
Yeah, I do. And you know,
Can I invite
Here
them
are their
round?
numbers. Come dine with me, swing style.
put your car keys in the bowl.
Do you think that sex should be slightly
What's
forbidden?
the turn on? Yeah, this
So
is it.
it's forbidden. If it's
Exactly.
forbidden, once it becomes everyone's at it, it'll be no good anymore, would it? You'll have to be.
Think of a
Then
new
people will
thing.
be going, I'm going to do some normal sex tonight. Oh no, we can't do that.
It's the period between getting to know someone online and how soon you actually physically meet with them. Because I find if you start getting romantically interested with somebody that's chatting to you on Facebook or on Twitter, and you leave it like a month or 2 months before a date or anything, it's amazing how quickly you can get sucked into. Like I've found myself, like within a week, we end up chatting to each other 6 hours a night. Yeah, and I mean, you cover a lot of ground in
6 hours.
Oh yeah, you go you
typing.
go at 8 in the evening thinking, I'll have a few words with her for half an hour, and then next thing you look at your watch, it's 2 in the morning, and you know, a week of that, and you have your first 4 kids now. Like it gets very, very intense. You find yourself telling the other person what you're like.
And your version of what you're like is probably a lot
Yeah, I
better
mean,
than
everybody's version of what they're like is a lot better to what their friends will tell you.
I know.
Yeah. You can't vouch for the sanity of people you meet.
But you can't vouch for the sanity that you meet.
Of anyone.
Well, you can
people
glean
in
a
the
better.
bar.
You can glean a better idea
Not
in
necessarily, because even when
See,
you're meeting
here's the
somebody.
thing. Here's the thing. I think it's very important in a relationship is to see how someone interacts with their friends.
Yeah, that's really true.
You know, that's a really good way of judging somebody. You don't get that with an online because it's all one-on-one. They'll tell you about their friends and all that. You know,
They could be imaginary.
but when you can see somebody is well liked
Yeah,
by a large group
and
of
you
people,
don't know-
they're fairly grounded. And
The little things that you're not aware of subconsciously, you're picking up from people when you see them in person.
Do you reckon that it matters if you sleep with somebody on the first night or not? Do you think there should be an element of time that you should wait, or do you think it matters?
I think if it's going to be a meaningless relationship, you should sleep
I
on
think
the
they
first
respect.
night.
I concur.
Yeah.
But what's the difference? So how do you know that if it's going to be meaningful or not? If you do sleep with somebody on the first night, it's not going to be a long-term relationship.
No, not necessarily. But I don't think it's important to the length of the relationship.
No.
I think that if it's going to work, if the relationship is going to work, it will work. I don't think that's necessarily going to take away from it. I think that sometimes it just so happens that, you know, you end up being in a situation where you do sleep with someone on the first date. And I don't think under those circumstances that it's automatically a given. that's not going to work out. But I do think insecurities can kick in people, like a little bit like sometimes the girls' Catholic guilt syndrome, where they're like, is he going to not maybe like me as much because I
Why
did
do you think
this?
oh God, I hate the thoughts of girls thinking like
Yeah.
that. It's horrible.
Maybe not the first date, because it's just a bit of mystery, bit of romance.
But surely,
Yeah,
if it
that's
happens,
right,
it happens,
you know,
and if
'cause
it
it's like-
doesn't, it doesn't. It's not like we should all go out there and jump into bed with somebody on the first night. But if it feels right on the night, surely you shouldn't be going, well, I haven't passed the 48-hour period yet. I'll just hang
I
on.
don't know, but if they're really
You know, I
groveling
mean,
and really begging, okay,
they're
we'll
really
do it.
groveling and
Yeah.
begging.
Yeah.
What kind of sex do you have?
No, I think it's, I'd say, I'm kind of, old-fashioned, and I go like, give it a while, and see them in different outfits, different stuff, different scenarios. It's great.
But what
And
if you
then,
sleep with someone
on
on
a
the
yacht, the yacht thing, and the various kind of different places.
Yeah,
And then
in different
eventually-
backgrounds. Yeah, on the beach, up a mountain. Yeah. But if you sleep with someone on the first night, I was just wondering, and then if you thought, oh, this could be serious, would you then hold off for a bit? Say, let's date without sleeping
There'd be
with
no
each
point
other?
once the dam is broken.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah, well,
No, go on.
metaphorical dam. I'm not referring to any breaking of anything biological.
And also the cringiness of that is tonight the night, because if you have a relationship with someone, you go for dinner a few times, and obviously it's you have to go somewhere. You would usually go somewhere in order to have sex. Would you?
Yeah, you probably would. It probably just wouldn't happen
Probably
as you walk down the
toilet,
street.
at the park. I didn't notice anything, but I did feel a little flutter. No, but what I mean is this: so you have to plan it. So doesn't then the night comes that you're going to have sex, and is there not a real? Oh God! Even the thought of it's making me cringe.
Well, the chances
Like
are
where are we going tonight? Back
if
to
you
yours
go
or mine?
to one of each other's places, it's definitely going to happen, right?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But then what if that ends up happening on the first night? Say you have an amazing night together. You really connect in so many ways. You pretty much are both sure the sex is going to be
So many
phenomenal,
ways.
Yeah.
and you do end up going back to someone's house and you have sex.
Yeah. Well then,
Chances are it's probably going to be good the
gonna be
next time and
good.
the next.
if the night before that, the bloke had slept with another woman, would that mean this one?
What if I, the
Yeah,
girl
but-
had?
That's gone, isn't it?
It's calm.
For me.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you're just getting twisted now.
Her mother.
Your mother.
Her brother.
Yeah, no, that's gone, isn't it? Especially if you're only.
That's okay as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
think so.
Yeah, right. That's good.
I'm cool.
I'm okay then.
Something that regularly would turn me off. I know it sounds terrible and snobby, but I am a grammar and spelling snob. And if I'm getting texts and they're typing your instead of your, and I'm just, it just,
Yeah.
because it's just because.
That's random, but I like it.
But it's
I
just,
like
I
it.
just like, I know.
I can't see you anymore. Your spelling is rubbish.
You gotta get that over with because you don't want to be 5 years into a relationship and she's going, "Why won't you sleep with me?" And you go, "There and there."
If I was with a bloke and he wasn't getting any of my jokes, I suppose that would be a turn off. Because it means that you're not connecting on some level.
That's useless. Absolutely. I think that's useless. Like, I genuinely think one of the biggest things is just that you can have a really good laugh together.
Yeah.
Together.
And actually, if you can have a really good laugh together, a lot of other things can be fixed around
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, you can work on other
You
stuff.
can laugh at the fact that you're not having sex anymore.
yeah, exactly. I quite like the idea of say whether it's paint as dirt or oil or coal or some sort of work dirt, right? That person underneath those overalls on that dirt is clean. Their hygiene is good, but yet they have stuff.
They're a bit
Nice
yucky.
bit, maybe a bit
A
of oil.
nice bit of oil, but that sort of work dirt that you can wash off. So no, that
Work dirt. You
Yeah.
can wash off. I love
As
it.
opposed to ingrained dirt.
Oh yeah, they just
As opposed to
defrayed-
Dirt that just
skank
made
and
its own way onto the person.
It's a look, wasn't it? Burt Reynolds, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That was back in the 70s when women had big, huge, hairy hoo-has as well.
Not
Things
with a big
have
hairy
changed,
hoo-ha.
Joe.
I'm a fan of that as well.
The hairy
Hairy
hoo-ha.
hoo-ha.
So do I. I like a big hairy hoo-ha. As long as they match.
The carpet matches the curtain. Well, if you've watched this far, we hope you're hooked. So have a look further down the page and we'll see you at the wrap party.
After night comes day, got what he wants now, he ran away. You deserve better, you know, baby, you know. Damn to go with such a shadow